What if your composure was an unbreachable fortress, and your mind was its unshakable, ever-vigilant guard? In a world that constantly tests us with criticism, embarrassment, and chaos, what if you could face any public storm with a profound calm that silences the noise and commands respect? This is not about being emotionless, it is about becoming unbreakable. Today, we learn the 7 disciplines to forge this power. Never lose composure in public again, ever. Compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. The moment you get triggered, imagine a vast, old, and dangerously dry forest floor, covered in a thick layer of accumulated dead leaves, dry pine needles, and brittle sun-baked twigs. This is the kindling. It lies dormant, waiting. Now, imagine a single tiny, almost insignificant spark, perhaps from a distant lightning strike or a careless campfire, landing in the heart of this forest. In a wet, green, and healthy forest, this spark would fizzle out in an instant, a harmless and forgotten event. But here, in the dry forest, that one tiny spark ignites a raging, uncontrollable wildfire. A storm of fire that consumes everything in its path with terrifying speed and destructive power. The inner conflict for each and every one of us is understanding that our own mind is often like that dry forest floor. The kindling is our collection of deeply held insecurities, our ego's fragile attachment to our reputation, our hidden fears, and our unexamined, often irrational beliefs. The spark is the external event in public, a critical comment from a colleague, a condescending look from a stranger, the sting of being ignored or interrupted. The painful and deeply humiliating problem is that we lose our composure in public, not because of the spark, but because of the immense amount of dry kindling we have allowed to accumulate in our own minds. We get triggered and explode in a storm of anger or crumble in a heap of shame from a seemingly small comment. And then we are left feeling bewildered and weak, wondering why our reaction was so disproportionately large. We mistakenly blame the spark for the wildfire. We tell ourselves, "That person made me lose my cool." This belief makes us powerless because we cannot control all the sparks in the world. We live in constant fear of the next careless word or look that might set our inner world ablaze, exposing our lack of self-control to everyone around us. The transformative solution is to stop blaming the sparks and to become the wise and vigilant fire warden of your own mind. This means embarking on the courageous journey of self-reflection to identify, understand, and systematically clear out the dry, flammable kindling of your own ego and insecurities. It is the art of fireproofing your mind from the inside out. The core Stoic idea is that the external event, the provocation, the insult, has no inherent power to disturb you. Its power is not in the event itself, but in the meaning you assign to it. And that meaning is determined entirely by your internal state, by the kindling of your beliefs and attachments. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught with profound simplicity, it is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. The insult is not disturbing. It is your judgment that the insult is a true and terrible attack on your fundamental worth that is disturbing. The benefit of this inside-out approach is that you reclaim your power and your peace. You stop being a helpless victim of other people's words and become the calm, proactive master of your own inner environment. You build a mind that is like a lush, green, fire-resistant forest, a place of deep peace that cannot be easily set ablaze by the random, flying sparks of public life. The actionable step to begin this essential fire prevention work is to start a trigger deconstruction journal. After an incident where you lost your composure in public or came close to it, take some time alone and perform a forensic analysis of the event. Write down your answers to these 3 questions. 1. The spark. What was the specific objective event that occurred? Describe it like a camera would see it, without emotional language. E.g., during the meeting, my colleague said, "That's one way to look at it, I guess." 2. The powder keg. What deep-seated belief, insecurity, or attachment within me did that spark ignite? E.g., my deep fear of being seen as unintelligent or incompetent by my peers, my ego's attachment to my reputation as an expert. 3. The explosion. What was my immediate emotional and physical reaction? E.g., I felt a hot flash of shame and anger, My face got red, my heart raced, and I responded with a defensive, sarcastic comment. This deconstruction is the difficult but necessary work of clearing the forest floor. By simply bringing these unconscious insecurities and attachments into the light of your conscious awareness, you begin to rob them of their explosive power. You see the kindling for what it is. I urge you to begin this inventory this week. Identify one of your primary emotional powder kegs. This awareness is the first and most critical step in disarming it. Once we understand the trigger, we must learn to act in the tiny space between the spark and the explosion. Our next lesson is on mastering the freeze between feeling and reaction. Before we continue on this path, please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to commit to becoming the wise warden of your own mind. Lesson 2. The freeze between feeling and reaction. Imagine you are a master bomb disposal expert, but the bomb you must defuse is your own emotional reaction. The trigger has been tripped, the provocative comment has been made, the disrespectful act has occurred, and the countdown to detonation has begun. It is a countdown that lasts not for minutes, but for a single fleeting second. A novice, consumed by the panic of the moment, reacts instantly. He fumbles, he makes a spastic, thoughtless move, and he triggers a catastrophic explosion of anger or shame. The master expert, however, has trained for this 1 second his entire life. The moment the trigger is tripped, he does not react. He does something that looks like nothing, but is in fact the most powerful move of all. He freezes. In that 1 second freeze, he creates a space of profound mental stillness. Time seems to slow down. In this space, he is able to see the mechanism clearly, to bypass the emotional wiring, and to deliberately choose the one action that will defuse the bomb and preserve the peace. The inner conflict we face in public is that we are the novice, constantly fumbling and detonating our own emotional bombs because we have never learned to create that crucial freeze frame. The painful and often humiliating problem is that in a high-pressure public situation, there is often zero perceptible space between our emotional trigger and our public reaction. The feeling becomes the action instantaneously. The spark hits the powder keg, and the explosion is immediate and total, leaving no room for reason, for wisdom, or for choice. This is the experience of an amygdala hijack, where our primal emotional brain completely overrides our modern rational brain. We are left standing in the aftermath of our own outburst, the regrettable words, the foolish action, the loss of face, feeling a deep sense of shame and powerlessness. We feel like a puppet whose strings were pulled by an invisible force, because in that moment we were not in control of ourselves. The transformative solution is to dedicate yourself to becoming the master expert of your own mind. It is the art of deliberately and forcefully creating a mental freeze frame in the critical moment between the feeling and the reaction. A sacred pause where your higher self can intervene. The core Stoic idea that underpins this is found in the famous words often attributed to Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the Holocaust and deeply studied the nature of human resilience. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The entire practice of Stoic discipline is about learning to find, to widen, and to inhabit that sacred space, especially when under intense pressure. The benefit of this is that it is the very mechanism of self-control. By mastering the pause, you become the master of yourself. You are no longer at the mercy of your own hair-trigger reactions. You give yourself the gift of choice. This ability to remain calm and choose a reasoned response while under public fire is the ultimate demonstration of strength and character. The actionable step to train this ability is the tactical freeze. This is a two-part physical and mental drill to be practiced until it becomes an automatic reflex. The moment you feel that initial visceral jolt of being triggered in public, you must do two things instantly. 1. Physically freeze. For 1 full second, freeze all non-essential motion. Stop gesturing. Stop shifting your weight. Let your facial expression go neutral. This physical stillness sends a powerful signal to your brain to interrupt the reactive pattern. 2. Mentally interrupt. In that 1 second of physical stillness, deploy a powerful, one-word internal interrupt mantra. The word could be pause, or choose, or simply control. This word acts as a mental command that short-circuits the emotional hijack and calls your rational mind, your inner leader, to attention. This tactical freeze is your emergency brake. It is the act of the bomb expert freezing time to study the wires. I challenge you to mentally rehearse this technique today. Imagine a situation where you are triggered and vividly practice the physical freeze and the mental interrupt. Prepare the tool before you need it. This freeze creates a space. But what is the most powerful thing we can do within that space? Our next lesson is on protecting your power with silence. If you are ready to master the space between feeling and reaction, please like this video. Lesson 3. Protecting your power with silence. Imagine a deep, ancient, and silent well. Its waters are cool, clear, and life-giving. A group of noisy, agitated people gather around the well. They shout into it, hoping to get an echo, a reaction. They throw small pebbles into it to see a splash, but the well is so deep and so still that it seems to swallow the sound. It does not shout back. The small ripples from the pebbles quickly vanish into its vast, quiet depths. The well's profound silence is not a sign of emptiness or weakness. It is a sign of its immense depth and its unshakable composure. By refusing to echo the noise, it maintains its own peaceful, powerful nature. The inner conflict we face is that when we are triggered in public, our desperate, ego-driven impulse is to immediately shout back out of the well. We feel an overwhelming compulsion to defend ourselves verbally. The painful problem is that this compulsion to immediately speak, to explain, to argue, and to defend ourselves in the moment we feel provoked is a position of profound weakness. It signals to everyone watching, and most importantly to ourselves, that the provocateur has successfully hooked us. We have taken their bait. Our frantic, defensive words reveal our inner turmoil. We over-explain, we make excuses, we get flustered, and we often end up sounding less confident and more guilty, even when we have done nothing wrong. We believe our words are our shield, but in a reactive state, they are actually a confession of our weakness. We are the shallow well, echoing back every noise and getting muddied by every pebble. The transformative solution is the strategic and powerful use of silence. It is the discipline of becoming the deep well, of understanding that in the moments after a provocation, your silence is not a void, but a shield, a statement, and a profound source of power. The core Stoic idea is that the person who is baited into a reactive emotional response has lost control of the interaction. The person who can remain calm and silent in the face of provocation is the one who holds all the power. The Stoic philosopher Zeno, when told that a friend was speaking ill of him, simply replied, "Then I shall have to live in such a way that no one will believe him." He did not argue or defend. He let his actions be his defense. Your silence, in the moment of provocation, communicates with unshakable clarity. I am not hooked by your bait. I am in control of myself. I will not be drawn into your game. Your words do not have the power to command a response from me. The benefit of this is that you immediately reclaim your power and your composure. You give yourself precious time to think, to let the initial wave of adrenaline pass, and to choose a wise response if one is even necessary. It is also profoundly disarming to the person who provoked you. They expect a reaction, and when they are met with a wall of calm, dignified silence, their strategy is neutralized. The actionable step is the 3-second silence. This is the discipline you will apply immediately following the tactical freeze from our last lesson. After you have frozen your body and interrupted your initial impulse, your next step is to maintain complete and total silence for at least 3 full seconds. During this time, you maintain neutral, steady eye contact with the person. You continue to breathe calmly. You do nothing. These 3 seconds will feel like an eternity. Your ego will be screaming at you to speak, to defend yourself. Your commitment is to your discipline, not your ego. This is your training. This silence is you choosing to be the deep well, allowing the provocation to be absorbed without creating any internal turmoil. I urge you to commit to this practice. The next time you're provoked in public, freeze, and then hold the silence for 3 powerful seconds. Discover the immense strength that is found not in a clever retort, but in a silent, unshakable heart. Silence gives us control of ourselves. But how do we use that control to influence the situation? Our next lesson is on calmness as a form of control. Please comment below and share your thoughts on the power of a deliberate, silent pause. Lesson 4. Calmness as a form of control. Imagine 2 rooms, each with a different device for regulating temperature. The first room contains a simple thermometer. It is a purely reactive instrument. If the room gets hot, the thermometer simply reflects that heat. If the room gets cold, it reflects the cold. It has absolutely no power to influence the environment. It is merely a victim of it. The second room contains a thermostat. The thermostat is an active, intelligent device. It has a desired temperature, a chosen state of being. If the room gets too hot, the thermostat does not panic. It calmly activates the air conditioning to cool the room back down to its chosen state. If the room gets too cold, it activates the heat. The thermostat is not a victim of the environment. It is the calm, rational governor of it. The inner conflict we face in a heated public conversation is that we almost always act like the thermometer. The painful problem is that we allow the emotional temperature of the room or the emotional state of the other person to dictate our own. If they get heated and aggressive, our own inner temperature rises to match theirs. If they are panicked and anxious, we become panicked and anxious. We are in a state of constant, passive emotional reaction to our environment. This makes us completely ineffective. We cannot de-escalate a situation if we are reflecting and amplifying the very emotional heat that is causing the problem. We lose all power and influence because we have surrendered our own emotional sovereignty. We have allowed someone else's fire to become our fire. The transformative solution is to make the conscious and powerful decision to stop being the thermometer and to start being the thermostat. It is the understanding that through your own deliberate calm, you can not only control your own inner state, but can also powerfully influence the state of the entire interaction. The core Stoic idea is that your composure is a form of power and influence. The Stoic warrior understands that by staying calm and rational when others are emotional and reactive, he is not being passive. He is actively controlling the only thing himself, and in doing so, he often gains a powerful, indirect control over the entire dynamic. His calm is not an absence of energy. It is a highly contained, stable, and powerful form of energy that can absorb and neutralize the chaotic, hot energy of others. The benefit of this is that you become a force for de-escalation and reason. People will unconsciously begin to mirror your calm. You become the leader in the interaction, the one who is setting the emotional tone, rather than the one who is being controlled by it. This is a source of immense power and respect. The actionable step to become the thermostat is to practice using a physiological anchor. During the 3-second silence we just discussed, while you are holding your silence and your neutral posture, you will anchor your attention on a specific, grounding, physical sensation. The most powerful anchor is the feeling of your feet planted firmly on the floor. Bring all of your awareness to the soles of your feet. Feel their connection to the ground. Feel the stability of the earth beneath you. This simple act of mindfulness does something profound. It pulls your attention out of the chaotic, storytelling part of your brain and grounds it in the simple, solid reality of your physical body in the present moment. This physical grounding is a powerful technique for maintaining your inner calm when your mind is being assaulted by emotional triggers. It is you choosing to be the thermostat, checking in with your own solid state rather than just reflecting the heat of the room. I challenge you, the next time you feel your emotional temperature rising in a conversation, to secretly shift your focus to the feeling of your feet on the floor. Feel your anchor. This is how you control your own climate. This control is a discipline. How do we build the endurance to maintain it under a sustained attack? Our next lesson is on the discipline to remain unshaken. To support our channel, please consider sharing this video with someone who you think is a calming presence in your life. Lesson 5. The discipline to remain unshaken. Imagine a disciplined, impenetrable line of Roman soldiers, their great shields interlocked, their feet planted firmly in the earth. They are holding a narrow pass against a chaotic, howling charge from a barbarian horde. Their strength is not just in the quality of their individual shields, but in their collective discipline to not break rank, to hold the line together as one. The horde crashes against their shields, once, twice, a dozen times. The soldiers feel the violent impact. They feel the immense pressure. They feel their muscles straining, but they do not break. They trust their training, they trust their comrades, and they hold their ground with a calm, resolute, and unwavering strength, knowing that as long as the line holds, they are invincible. The inner conflict for us is that while we might be able to deflect a single, isolated provocation, a sustained emotional assault can wear us down and cause us to break our own line. The painful problem is that some provocations in public are not a single arrow. They are a sustained, relentless barrage. A person might continue to insult, to needle, to interrupt, and to push our buttons, relentlessly testing our defenses and our patience. We might successfully use our techniques to deflect the first arrow of insult and the second and the third. But by the 10th, our shield arm grows heavy. Our composure begins to crack. Our resolve weakens. Eventually, worn down by the sustained psychological pressure, we break. We finally explode in a torrent of anger or collapse in a heap of frustration, giving the provocateur the very reaction they were so patiently waiting for. We held the line for a time, but we ultimately failed the grueling test of endurance, and our fortress was overrun. The transformative solution is to train ourselves to be like the disciplined Roman soldier, to see composure not as a momentary act of willpower, but as a profound virtue of endurance. It is the discipline of maintaining your calm center, not just for a single moment, but for the entire duration of the engagement, no matter how long the siege lasts. The core Stoic idea at play here is the virtue of endurance, or karteria. It is the ability to hold true to your reason and your principles over a prolonged period of time, despite pain, fatigue, or intense pressure. The Stoic warrior knows that the person who can remain calm and rational the longest is the person who holds all the power and who ultimately wins the only battle that matters, the battle for his own soul. He sees a sustained provocation not as a personal attack, but as an endurance workout, a chance to train his spiritual stamina. His goal is not to defeat the opponent, but simply not to break his own ranks, not to betray his own sacred commitment to reason. The benefit of this is that you develop a truly formidable mental and emotional stamina. You become a person who simply cannot be worn down or baited by the emotional tactics of others. Your peace becomes so resilient and so practiced that it can withstand not just a quick storm, but a sustained, week-long siege. This earns you a reputation for being incredibly grounded, patient, and unshakable. The actionable step to cultivate this endurance is to create and practice the endurance loop. This is not a new technique, but a conscious integration of the previous lessons into a repeatable mental drill for the duration of a sustained provocation. The loop is: 1. Notice trigger, acknowledge the new verbal arrow. 2. Freeze, execute the 1-second physical and mental pause. 3. Anchor, reconnect with your physiological anchor, your breath, your feet on the floor. 4. Silence, maintain your composure and hold the space. 5. Observe, watch their tactic and your own inner state with detached curiosity. Then, when the next provocation comes, you simply run the loop again. Notice, freeze, anchor, silence, observe. This becomes your mental drill, your kata, that you run on repeat until the situation is over. It gives your mind a simple, clear, and productive task to focus on, preventing it from getting lost in the chaos of the attack. I encourage you to mentally rehearse this loop. See it as your training for holding the line. But where should our focus ultimately be during this battle? Inward or outward? Our next lesson explores this crucial question. If you are ready to hold the line, please like this video. Lesson 6. Turning attention inward, not outward. Imagine a dedicated lighthouse keeper during a violent, raging storm. The wind is howling, and massive waves as tall as buildings are crashing against the base of the lighthouse, threatening to tear it from its foundation. The keeper's crucial job is not to go outside and fight the waves. He knows that would be an insane, suicidal act. He cannot control the storm. His one and only duty, the single focus of all his energy, is to keep the light inside the lighthouse, the lamp itself, clean, fueled, and burning brightly. He turns his attention inward to the mechanism he can control so that the light can shine outward and be a guide for others. The inner conflict we face when we are losing our composure in public is that we make a critical and disastrous error in directing our attention. The painful problem is that when we feel triggered, attacked, or embarrassed, our attention becomes 100% focused outward. We become completely obsessed with the external chaos. We focus on the other person's angry face, on their unjust words, on the perceived judgment in the eyes of the onlookers. We are mentally outside the lighthouse, battling the waves, a fight we can never win. This outward focus is a position of profound powerlessness. We are allowing our inner state to be completely determined by the external chaos. We have abandoned our post. We have forgotten that our only true duty is to tend to the inner light. The transformative solution is the radical and deeply Stoic discipline of, in the very moment of crisis, shifting the focus of your attention from the uncontrollable external chaos to the controllable internal state of calm you are trying to maintain. The core Stoic idea is the dichotomy of control applied in its purest and most challenging form. The only thing that truly deserves your full, undivided focus in a moment of public crisis is the state of your own mind. Everything else, the other person's anger, the audience's reaction, the outcome of the situation, is a secondary distraction from your primary duty, which is to maintain your own virtue and composure. The benefit of this inward turn is that it is the ultimate act of reclaiming your power. It is you, in the midst of the storm, remembering that you are the lighthouse keeper, not the ocean. This creates a powerful sense of psychological distance from the event. You are not consumed by the chaos because your focus is on the sacred task of tending to your inner flame. The actionable step to practice this is the internal focus shift. During a public challenge, when you feel yourself losing your composure, you must make a conscious and deliberate decision to shift 80% of your awareness inward. Your primary focus should be on your internal anchors, the feeling of your breath, the sensation of your feet on the floor, the silent repetition of your mantra, the state of your posture. You will use only 20% of your awareness to monitor the external situation, just enough to hear what is being said and to know what is happening. Your main reality, your main priority, becomes the internal task of maintaining your calm. This is an advanced technique and it requires practice, but it is the key to becoming truly unshakable. You become an observer of the situation, even while you are in the middle of it. This creates a profound psychological distance that makes you almost immune to the emotional pull and the chaotic energy of the moment. I challenge you to try this in a low-stakes but stressful situation, like a crowded grocery store or a traffic jam. Shift your focus inward and notice how the external chaos loses its power over you. This brings us to our final lesson. What is the ultimate goal of all this training? It is to stop merely doing these techniques and to start being the technique. It is about becoming the stillness itself. Our final lesson explores this ultimate state. Please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to complete your training. Lesson 7. Becoming the stillness in chaos. Imagine once more the eye of the hurricane. It is not just a calm space in the middle of the chaos. In a deeper sense, its profound stillness is what defines the very center of the chaos. The entire massive storm is organized around this central point of perfect, powerful tranquility. The eye of the storm does not do anything to be calm. Its nature is calm. It is the unmoving hub around which the entire chaotic wheel of the storm revolves. The final inner conflict on our path to unshakable composure is our tendency to see these lessons as a collection of separate techniques that we do, rather than as a holistic system for changing who we are. The painful problem with this view is that if composure is just a technique, then under extreme pressure, our technique can fail. If our sense of self is still, an angry person who is trying to be calm, then in a moment of crisis, the angry person will likely win. We are still a person of chaos trying to use a tool of stillness. This can lead to a feeling of being an imposter and a fear that our calmness is just a fragile mask that will be ripped off when we are truly tested. The transformative solution is the final and most profound synthesis of all the lessons we have explored. It is to practice these disciplines with such consistency and dedication that your default state of being is transformed. The goal is to stop being the storm that is trying to find a moment of stillness and to become the stillness that observes the passing of the storms. The core idea is the culmination of all Stoic practice. Your inner peace, your apatheia, becomes so stable, so practiced, and so deeply integrated into your character that it is no longer a shield you have to consciously raise in a moment of crisis. It becomes the very substance of who you are. Your composure is no longer a strenuous act of self-control. It is a natural and effortless expression of your well-ordered soul. You've become the eye of your own hurricane. The benefit of this is that you achieve a state of profound and lasting peace. You move through the world with a quiet, powerful confidence that is not dependent on circumstances. You become a source of safety, clarity, and stability for everyone around you, not through your words or your actions, but through your very being. You become the living embodiment of the stillness in the chaos. The actionable step to achieve this integration is the post-event integration practice. After you have successfully maintained your composure in a difficult public situation using these techniques, it is crucial that you take some time later that day for a final reflection. Do not just focus on the external event. Focus on the feeling of your own inner stillness during that event. In your journal, describe what it felt like to be in control of yourself. Anchor this feeling of success, this feeling of quiet power, in your memory. Replay the moment of your successful composure. By consciously acknowledging and savoring these moments of victory, you are actively reinforcing your new identity. You are providing your brain with powerful evidence that you are no longer the reactive person, but that you are the calm and composed person. This is how you turn a state into a trait. I urge you to practice this the very next time you successfully hold your composure. Reinforce the victory. This is the path to becoming the stillness in the chaos. We have journeyed through the 7 great disciplines of Stoic composure, from understanding the sparks that ignite our inner fire to becoming the very eye of the hurricane. This ancient path teaches us that unshakable public composure is not an absence of feeling, but the ultimate expression of inner strength. A strength forged in the quiet, daily practice of mastering your own mind. Thank you for taking this time to learn how to build your inner fortress of peace. If this video has served you on your journey, please like this video, comment with your greatest takeaway, and subscribe to the Stoic Power channel for more wisdom on building a life of profound strength and unshakable composure.